I'm on. Am I on yet, Pete?
You're on.
Wow. Anyway, here we are once again in my little, what do you call it, studio here. This is obviously one of our instruments, and it's going to a guy down in Florida named Tony. Tony, I'm sorry, I forget your last time right now. How about if we just call you Miami Tony? And I tell you, man, I talked to this guy several times on the phone. He's a sweetheart. I love talking to Tony. Anyway, I had talked to Tony the other day because he'd been waiting a while for this instrument, and I was going to send it out to him. I was going to put the pickups in and do the final work. And I noticed a little crack up here in the wood, so we're going to fix that right now. And I thought it would be a good idea to make this video because things like this happen from time to time, like because of all the laminations and the seams and stuff. It just in general, wood moves around, sometimes it expands, sometimes it shrinks, and you get like a little opening or something in the seam. Or maybe just, especially in the case of ebony, ebony has a tendency to check every once in a while, and you get these little lines, in the finish. I just thought I'd take a minute and show you how to fix it, because it's only going to take a couple minutes to actually make this little, we're going to lay it down. Pete's going to do a close-up and show you exactly where the crack is pretty soon. But I thought while I had the base in my hands, I would just show you. This is Macassar ebony, and the back is something we don't use that often, but I really like this wood. It's called lace wood from Australia, Pete? I think it's just from Australia. You'd have to talk to one of those mavens of the wood world, that know all about wood and about everything else, it seems like. Anyway, this is lace wood with a combination of lace wood, mahogany, and ebony. And yeah, I think this is really a nice looking instrument. And I just talked to Tony. I called him this morning and said, hey, I know I was going to send your bass yesterday. I was going to have this thing done, but that's not the case. We're going to fix it. You see. Now put it back where Pete said. He said he can get a close-up of this. Can you do it, Pete? Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here, there's a little opening. It's not on the seam. It's just opened up a little bit. And the wood shrunk or expanded, and it caused a little crack. And it's nothing serious. I mean, you could even let that go. It doesn't really matter. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not structurally going to do any damage, I don't think, But, yeah, well, I'll just show you what I mean. To fix it, you need a couple of little things. Some sandpaper. This is 220. This is 600. This is steel wool. This is 4.0. This is like the finest steel wool you can get. A little bit of orange oil. This is made by Howard's. You can get Howard's most hardware stores. But if you can't, get yourself a container like this. Pledge makes orange oil too, and it's pretty much the same. And for the final thing, I'm going to use Howard's what they call feed and wax, which is a combination of beeswax and orange oil. It's a little, just to do the final, bring it back to life, so to speak. Okay? And, oh yes, oh, we almost forgot. All important crazy glue. I'll tell you guys, well, I know I mention this almost every time I talk about crazy glue, but when I first started, I could have used this stuff, man. There was nothing like this around back in those days, Now I use it for like little things like this. All these laminations that you see on here, all these sheets, they're all put together with crazy glue. And we have a new, where is that stuff? I'm not going to use it, but I got this from a company called Woodcraft Supply. And it's pretty much the same consistency as the Crazy Glue, and it works really well. And we've been using this all along to do the gluing and stuff. I'm going to use the Crazy Glue for this because you can get this anywhere, you know. You don't have to go to any kind of special place to get this. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is, I've already done this, but I'm just get, eliminate any dust and stuff to get a clear surface to work on. But just take the 220 first, which is a very fine grade of paper. And what you want to do is just sand a little bit first, right around the crack, just to get a little bit of dust into the crack, okay? Like that. And then I take the Crazy Glue. It's gone already. This is an easy one, Pete. And the Crazy Glue will help seal the crack and also make sure the dust is in there nice. Sometimes I put the glue on first and then put the dust in, but I think in this case it's going to work better because that crack is so small, it's not much there at all. And I just let it set for a few minutes and kind of just pull the glue into the line where the crack was a little bit, like that. And don't be concerned. Right now, it looks worse than this does. It looks like I'm really messing things up. But the sandpaper is going to scratch the surface a little bit, so it's going to look like that. That's why I have all this, and you'll see when I'm done, it'll come right back to where it was. Want it, Pete? Maybe you should be doing this. Do I know what I'm doing here? Pete mentioned something to me a while ago, too, while we were talking about this kind of stuff. I won't mention any names, but there's a lot of people out there who use scare tactics whenever they're talking about, something goes wrong and you got a little crack like this and you take it to somebody who's a maven and a genius and knows everything there is to know about everything. He's going to tell you, oh, you need this, or you need that, you need this, and you need that. And what you need is a special jig to do this, and you get confused, And something like this is not about that, A lot of this stuff really isn't about that. They make more out of it than it actually is. And a lot of you people could probably do a lot more than you think you can if you just back off a little bit. Don't get crazy. Look at what the situation is, and maybe you can do something. Maybe you can actually do more than you think you can do. That's just for the regular people. Then you got the people who actually could benefit a lot by not pretending to know so much either. So there's a lot of people out there I know that go on and on and on about how great they are about all this stuff and about music and everything. And the reality is, I'm going to shut this off. If they would just drop all that attitude stuff, they probably could do a lot more than they actually talk about what they could do. It really isn't that difficult. You just have to back off and do it. This thing's cool, Pete. Yeah, just a little spot of crazy glue right here that has to be pushed into place. That's pretty much it. And then a little 600. Steel wool. Oh, yes. There's still a little bit at the bottom here I can see. I'm going to do a little more, Pete. No. Can you see that over there, Pete?
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Yeah, the top part of it got okay. Oh. It's pretty solid up there. Yeah, that should do it. Oh, one more thing about doing this stuff too. Do we have any? We have ebony dust around here somewhere, don't we? I got bags of dust here everywhere. That's not it, no. Anyway, I won't even, I'm not going to use it now anyway. But we just, from when we're fixing things like this, sometimes the crack is more than just a little line. You know, what I'm doing here, when I'm sanding, I'm using the dust from the piece I'm working on itself. But sometimes, if you have like a wide opening or a big crack, and you might want to do the same thing I did here, except you would pour some extra dust into the crack. You know, and we just collect bags of dust around it from different woods so we can kind of match it up. Ebony is the easiest thing to match. That's it. It's just pretty thin now, Pete, all the way down. And it actually takes less time than what it took me to do this, because I'm doing all this talking at the same time. But if I was just doing this and not talking, it wouldn't take any time at all. I remember when Eben, the young man over here, just started coming in and hanging out. When he first started, he was opening up some of the slots for the frets, and the file, or the saw, made a little line in here. And he panicked. I said, no, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. He says, you've got a big line there. I said, I know. And I did exactly what I'm doing here. And he said, wow, it's like it's gone. I said, yeah, there are some things you can have to be concerned about, and some things that you can take care of really simple, you know. This is something that can be done by anybody. You get a couple pieces of sandpaper, some crazy glue, and you know, don't let those geniuses talk you into spending all kinds of money, you know, to do something that doesn't take anything to do.